Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Q&A. We'll just wait here a couple more minutes, but if you do find yourself needing to ask a question, you can always go to the React button at the bottom and then hit the raise hand button, and then we'll ask you to unmute, and then we can take your question. So if you do have questions right up front, you can go ahead and raise your hand, and then we can keep going. But I don't believe that there's a theme today. I think it's just an open conversation. So any questions, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll take them.
Hi all. While we don't have any questions, I just wanted to alert you that we sent an invitation to a smart kickoff for the clean show. It's going to be on the Friday before the show starts at the main hotel, the Rosen Center. So if you haven't seen it, come through your email, just do a search for smart and clean show and it should pop up. And if you don't get it, just let one of us know. We can resend it. And hopefully some of you will be there or some of your coworkers or colleagues. And we're excited to meet everyone.
All right. Looks like we've got Zach first and then Marlene.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Tyler. Sorry I was out for a couple months. Just had a baby. So
Oh, congratulations.
thank you. My question is in regards to, this is random. I was just curious. Session timeout minutes for our front counters, we currently have set to 5 minutes. And we had an issue where a customer forgot, or CSR forgot to refresh the station and ended up putting it up on the previous customer's account when a new customer walked in. Definitely our CSR's fault. But I was just curious if you have a recommended amount of time before like the session log out. 5 minutes feels right for us, but I just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think I personally have a recommendation for timeout because it is different based on the business. Some people place it at 2 minutes. Some people then realize that's too short a time and end up placing it around like 10 minutes to an extent. It kind of really depends on what issues you're running into and that sort of thing. I don't know if Mike has a different recommendation or anything.
Uh, Not really. This is one of those things where, as you said, Zach, 5 minutes feels right for you. That's my recommendation. Whatever feels like it works for your business, makes the most sense for the way your staff does things and the way your days tend to go is, what I would say is a right fit. And I don't really have a good rule of thumb for how you might predict that. Just, if it seems like it's too long, shorten it. And if it seems too short, lengthen it a little bit and, just kind of dial it in.
Yeah, I considered shortening it to 4 minutes or something, or just playing
Mhm.
around with it. I was honestly just picking your brains.
Yeah,
Um, I've got a thank you. Can I ask another question?
sure, of course.
I noticed that you guys are going to start charging for API usage.
Mhm.
And you may have talked about it in the previous or like while I've been out, but I think it makes sense why you're doing that. I get that from like a computer usage standpoint. I was just curious, like, are there, I guess like from a general sense, like what are people using APIs for? Like, should we like what can we be doing differently to better make use of an API? Is there something like we're not doing that we should be doing? Um,
Sure.
just kind of, yeah, just wanted to brainstorm with y'all about that.
Yeah, I think there are two most common use cases. One is creating a custom sign up form for new customers that you would put on your website, and the idea is it doesn't look like the smart form. You might ask for and collect slightly different information. You might have some extra fields for like custom fields for referral source and whatnot, which you can put in the smart form, but again, you don't get to control the appearance of that. And you also don't get to do interesting things like um, grab that data on its way to smart and also put it in some other database that you might use for something.
Uh,
So
okay.
there's a sign up form, and then the other use case that I think is similarly common is just a marketing integration. If you use an external marketing service, a lot of those use the API to pull aspects of your customer database, find customers who fit certain criteria, that kind of thing, and create campaigns for them.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Does outside of those two, it's much more esoteric stuff, which often relates to maybe you have a specific, sort of highly specialized relationship with some other business, and they have some computer system. You need to be able to talk to it in some way. You might hire a developer and set up some sort of API integration for that. Those are, after those first two use cases, that's really the kind of stuff I see for the API after that.
Okay, both of those make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably have another question in a little bit, but
Sure.
you go to I'm good for now. You head to Marlene. Thank you.
Okay, sure. You're welcome. Hey, Marlene. Let's see if we can get you unmuted.
Unmute.
There we
Hi.
are.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
So Tyler, you and I were talking about the adding an employee, and they're like best practice. While we can figure that out later, why I couldn't add her, but I started thinking about best practices and where I can see like all these permissions for all these different store clerk and detail, and where's that as a reference guide? Because
Yeah,
I have no clue.
yeah, give me 1 minute and I can pull this up really quick. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. Why can't I see you? Oh, there you are. Okay.
You may see yourself for a second, but so there's a couple, okay, didn't need to do that. Okay, so there's a couple areas that I would point you to. And so I guess I'll just start from the beginning. We'll go settings,
All right.
business settings, and then permissions. So here is permissions page where you can go through and customize your permissions based on how your company needs it and who needs to see what. That would be the first part. Next part, I have been seeing I have had a couple people, whether it be email or put in a ticket or call, they have been having issues creating employees. So I'm not sure exactly what they're doing or what is specifically going on. I haven't tested it only because it's only been a few people who have, mentioned it, and it was very quick resolution as to what was going on. So maybe we do, or I'll run some tests to figure out what's going on and see if I run into any issues just creating test employees. But here would be the employees page, and if you need to edit or do anything with the employee, you can always come here as long as you have permissions, of course. Edit any type of information that you need here, whether it be passwords, employee pins. Obviously, you need to hit the edit employee button first. And then if you're to need to change anything as for level, departments, anything like this on the employee level, you'd want to hit the admin tab, edit employee.
So I guess my question was like, okay, admin. Well, how do I know when I give somebody an admin level versus a supervisor level? And maybe you said this before I left. Where do I see that? Or is it just something I have to memorize and learn?
As in where you can,
What is an admin level going to give an employee versus a customer service? What do they get? Access to finances or access to changing price lists? I don't know.
yeah, so that would be this first area that we went to.
Mhm.
So all of these permissions are going to be based on company preference and where you want your employees to either be able to access or their visibility standpoint. Here you would go through individual things to check this out, as if
Oh, I see.
route
Okay.
manager module if you only want store managers or higher, But it depends on the company. And then the other place that I would recommend is always come down here, check out our learning center. We do have an article. Hopefully it populates on the page.
Okay.
I want to say it's permissions levels. Yep. And then so here will be some of the hard coded, if not all of them, all of the hard coded levels that shows you this is their standard access, and
Okay,
then
that's
what
what
you
I need.
can change. Yep.
Okay, so what is that called?
I would go to the help center down in the bottom left or the
Right,
learning
I
center
got it. Uh-huh,
and then type in levels and then search
got
it
it.
that way.
Okay,
And
perfect.
Mike shared it in the chat here as well.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Marlene, I just want to add one quick thing because you mentioned admin. Admin has no restrictions. Admin can do absolutely everything. So keep that in
I
mind.
assumed, but then maybe
Yeah.
their supervisor,
Right.
so
Yeah.
if
So the
we
other ones
decide to
do have.
lose, right, so I'll look at that cheat sheet and that would
Mhm.
definitely be helpful.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that article that's like the default. So that's the starting basis. Your permissions in your system have probably already been changed from the defaults, but that's like
uh-huh,
the starting point that you would work from. And then that permissions page is really a better
yeah,
source, frankly, because
perfect,
it's what you're currently using. Yeah.
right. Okay, I love that, awesome,
Cool.
but wouldn't have known it's even there, so good deal.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any other questions?
Not for me, not at the moment.
Okay.
But Tyler, I'll talk to you after. We can go back and look why that didn't work.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds
That
good.
was a weird thing. Okay.
All right. We've got River.
Hey, man.
Hey.
I just had a question kind of piggybacking off of that, with the adding new users and stuff. We have a lot of employees that might come back during, busier times of the year. And they've been deactivated, but when we reactivate them, we always get a message and it says that they were disabled for no sign-in after 60 days. And I was just wondering if there was any way to prevent that from happening when we try and reactivate them.
I'm not well, so I am familiar with the 60-day inactivation because that's our standard where if nobody logs in, there's no usage being done for that user. There's no reason to keep them around. But as for specifically that message popping up, I haven't ever seen it whenever you reactivate an employee.
Yeah. I think maybe it's because they're not logging in the same day, but usually we want to get them set up in the system before they come in for their first day.
River, I think actually your intuition is correct. I think what's happening there is so the system automatically deactivated them for no activity for 60 days. And that's still true when you reactivate them, that there hasn't been any activity. So I imagine it doesn't do it immediately, but maybe within a day. It probably re-triggers that message because it sees there still hasn't been any activity on that profile in the last 60 days, unless they did log in, per your observation. So yeah, I think if what you want to do is just make sure that they log in, or at least you log in as them, as right after you
Okay.
reactivate the account. That should prevent that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, looks like we've got Christy, and then I think Marlene has a question as well afterwards.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey.
So we're relatively new using the delivery app, and I had put in a ticket and gotten with Chris last week because we were having some of our route customers, the button for printing like a bag tag was not available for them. Only like that invoice button where you would have to actually like make an invoice to print something. So he was working on that. But what I have noticed since then is that basically it's customers who I'm only picking up. I don't have a delivery for them this week, but they need a pickup. Those customers, it seems like that bag button is not available for them. Only the invoice button. And I'm not sure is that intentional or, because I would prefer everyone to have a bag tag because really the driver, I just need him to print out the bag tag just to make sure that goes in the bag and we know who that bag belongs to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I
Okay.
just need to find. Okay, so you're talking about this, and hopefully you can see my mouse. This ticket or this print icon, right?
No. I'm talking about my route driver is en route in his truck. He's got the phone with the
Oh,
mobile app on it, and he's following the steps. And he gets to a customer's house. He's not delivering, he's just picking up. And he goes and he picks up their bag. And what we require our drivers to do is to print on the printer a bag tag that has the customer's name and address on it. And you hit that little button that says bag, and a little piece of paper comes out of the printer and it has their name and address, and then he throws that in the bag with the clothes so that everybody knows who that bag belongs to.
okay,
So
gotcha.
that button is not available. It seems like the button is unavailable for customers who don't have a delivery. If he's delivering to them and he delivers their stuff, and then they also have a pickup, that bag button is available and he can just hit that button and immediately prints the tag. So what he's having to do for those customers who have a pickup only is there's that invoice, the order. So basically he's having to make an order, and then he's got to choose if it's a dry cleaners or wash and fold, in order to get something to print to put in that bag. So that's why is that intentional or is something else going on?
Yeah, that is intentional. Yeah, they should be creating an order because I mean, think about it. If you're picking up a bag and then you're not telling the system that you've physically picked up a new bag, and then you're trying to print something, but the system doesn't know it's there, it's giving you that blocker, so that way you can't make that mistake to where, and maybe the old app it was already available and it was just a button, but
Yeah, I think when we were using they were very easily able to just print. It's just an information ticket is all it is
yeah.
that I'm looking for. I mean, I really don't want drivers to get involved with making orders and deciding is it dry cleaning, wash and fold. They don't know what's in the bag and they don't know, maybe there's a special due date circumstance for that. They don't have as much information because they're not marking enclosed. So I don't know if there's a way to get that availability back on the mobile app like we had when we were using the other app, the older one.
Yeah, I can definitely take a look to see if we did have that ability. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I would need to open it up. As for the old app, I just checked out the new app. And the only way that
Because
I was
that
able to get
bag,
it was
yeah,
adding an order, and then it gave me the availability for it.
right. Because that little button is there for other
Mhm.
customers on the route, but my driver says he notices that it's only he can only see that button for customers that he's delivering as well as picking up. So it's there for some customers, but not all the customers.
Oh, it's ones that have a delivery and a pickup that he's seeing it on, but the ones that are just
Yeah,
pickups, yeah, that
he's
makes
not
sense.
seeing that button. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
makes
I would
sense.
like to be available for anybody who's on the route, to print an information ticket.
Yeah, that makes sense that he would be able to print off for a delivery and a pickup customer because it already knows that there's an order, so it has the information. But yeah, we can definitely put in a request to see if we need to keep it that way, or if, like you said, this is intentional and we are forcing drivers to create a ticket or create an order, which I would 100% recommend is having your drivers create the order when they pick it up. One, it helps you know when the created date and time was. It matches with the delivery and pickup time, and you don't have to run into the issue where some cleaners still do this, but they'll their driver will drop everything off at the front counter. The counter people then get into this like robot mode where they're just clicking stuff, create and going and doing their everyday thing, and then they accidentally click the wrong return location, and then they end up contacting us with issues on specific orders, asking why, where it can be easily avoided by just the driver creating the order when they pick it up.
Right. I guess just then whenever that driver creates that order, you know, I guess we're just gonna have to always, I don't know, always just make a dry cleaning order, even if there's wash and fold, um, and then the person marking in is just gonna have to make sure they make any changes to the default for that order that might be required for specific cases, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody else here that's obviously listening, if you have any recommendations for Christy, for best practices for the drivers, okay, Mike's got it.
Hey, Christy. I was going to mention what Tyler mentioned about how it absolutely is the best practice to have the drivers create the orders. And you mentioned the wash and fold. If they don't have the option, we can actually give them the option to create a wash and fold or a cleaning order, and they can choose. So if that's not available, we can turn that on for you.
It is
Uh,
on. He's got two choices, but you know, I don't want him to deciding which of those choices to make. Basically, I just need him to know we're cleaning clothes. He doesn't need to know specifics, you know?
Yeah, and you don't have to detail anything at all. Just the idea is to get
Right.
that placeholder order in, so that as Tyler mentioned, so we get the right timestamp and we get the right agent return location and all that, so that there's no confusion. There's less opportunity to make those mistakes. And gosh, he said something that prompted me to want to say something else, and I've lost my train of thought
And
on
I
that one.
interrupted you. I'm
But
sorry.
yeah. Oh no, it was yeah, so I think what we're going to do, I've already put in a little inquiry with our delivery app team about whether this is intended, this restriction on the ability to print a bag tag. So we'll figure out we'll solicit feedback and take your input into consideration, but we'll figure out what we think makes sense to make that functionality work as well as we can make it for everyone. But in the meantime, pending any change to that, I do recommend, if it's not already your policy, just make sure the drivers create the order, and then you'll always be able to make that bag tag, at least for the
Right. And
time
I think,
being. Yeah.
yeah, and I think residential routes, that is probably not an issue. I think hotels can be tricky because I have sub accounts for hotels. Like, is this a guest order? Is this an employee order, a
Hmm.
management order? And, you know, when we're putting in stops for hotel pickups in the morning, you know, we may not always know, is it for a guest or is it an employee? We just know they have a pickup. And so
Yeah.
if they print an order for, you know, maybe we put it in as a guest and then they put in an order for a guest, but maybe when we open the bag, it's really for an employee, you know, that kind of messes things up a bit. Where
So,
really I just need him to just print a piece of information, piece of paper to put in that
yeah.
bag so we know what hotel it belongs to. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, of course. And when you do get guest work, is it do the hotels usually have a little form or a slip that they put in the bags?
They're supposed to, yes.
Okay. Okay. So you do know that it's guesswork, at least. Like you can tell the
Yes.
difference once you've got the bag open. Okay.
Once I've opened the bag and looked,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Because I was going to point out in the delivery app, when the driver creates the order. Now I've seen this in the old app. I haven't actually confirmed this in the new app yet. But if you're using those hotel guest name fields, then when the driver creates the order, if they do it on the guest account, they can actually enter the names if they have them, and if you want them to be doing that. I know in some
Yeah,
operations that's more time
yeah,
consuming than we want
right,
to deal with on the road. But other operations, like people have told me they have their drivers sit there and do stuff like this because it's important to
right,
them to get the information in and get it right away.
yeah.
So
It's
that's a
time
decision you can make for your
consuming,
business.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, and it
because
doesn't
like
fit
say
for
I
everybody.
go, yeah, I go to a hotel and they may give me 10 bags for 10 separate people. Some of
Hmm.
them are guests, some of them employees. And he has a large bag that he puts all those small bags in, and
Hmm.
then a piece of paper that says all these bags in here belong to this hotel,
Right.
just
This
in
is all
case.
Marriott guest or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so, and then, you know, he's got to hurry up and get all that stuff back here because that's same day service stuff. So, you know,
Right.
that's kind of where we are as far as, you know, wanting to be able to just easily make just an informational quick print,
Okay.
basically, on any route that we run.
Yeah, and to be frank, it sounds to me like it's what's going on in the new app is probably technically a bug. We probably did not intentionally restrict the ability to print bag tags in certain circumstances. I don't see any
Okay.
reason why we should like take that away from you in a certain situation. And it doesn't really kind of follow our design ethic these days. So that's why I asked about it, and I think I know what
Okay.
answer I'm going to get, and I think that's going to lead to a bug report and a fix. So hopefully
right.
we'll get that corrected pretty soon.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Frank.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Excuse me.
All right, we've got Zach.
Hey, hearing Christie's questions, I'd never considered putting printers in our vans before. I didn't know that was possible. Um, are you guys aware? Can you speak to like how we would set that up? Like, do you need a computer, I guess, with it, or
Nope. So there's actually a Bluetooth. Oh shoot, it's a Star Micro. It's like there's 700 or 300 series, something like that. I think Mike is about to pull it up to get the exact model. But essentially, you hold down some buttons on it. There's only two buttons, power and feed. It spits out a Bluetooth code. You turn that code into a barcode, and then you can scan it into, or like you can print that barcode and kind of label it onto the printer, so you always have access to it in case if it does disconnect. But it's just a printer connected to a phone through Bluetooth, and it works fairly well with mainly iPhone. I've seen some issues with the new app with Android disconnecting more often than the iPhone, as in like moving away from it and then coming back having issues.
I think that's such a cool idea, giving our drivers the ability to just quickly print something if they rather than handwriting. I should have thought of that. So,
Yeah, and there's even a well, our hardware team has been testing. There's like a little finger scanner that almost like sits on your finger as if it was a ring, and it has just a little button, and you can use it to scan stuff, and it also connects to the phone and works with the app. Um, so then they could even have their own little scanner too if they needed it.
are you talking about like a scanner that you would wear on your hand and you just like, and it's the thumb that activates the scan button?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the one that we were testing has like an actual physical button that you can um, press or hold, whichever you want to
Because
do. But it
one of the
just
previous, I'm sorry to speak over you, because I saw like one of the other POS systems had a like a handheld or like a wearable scanner, and like for their assembly bay, and like it would charge up, and then like so you wouldn't have to. It was much easier to find the barcode. Like it wasn't connected to the computer, like physically connected to the computer. Um, and I love that you're testing that technology. I think that's very cool.
yeah, it's very similar. Um, and I've used it a couple times. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the technology's out there, and we are you know moving to use all of it.
And I assume that would also be applicable to the assembly bay.
To the assembly bay, it should be, yeah.
That
Mike
makes
is saying
sense.
yes.
Hey, Zach,
That's,
real quick. I'm sorry to
go
jump
ahead.
in. I just in the chat, I just pasted the two models of mobile printers that we support currently, and also a link to just a Google search for wearable finger scanner, just to give you guys an idea that I'm not sure exactly what model we've been testing. There may be more than one model we've been testing. So that's just an idea of the concept. It's not to say that any of the particular models you might see are what we're using. But that just gives you an idea of what the device is.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is like exactly like what I envisioned. So awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and yes, absolutely, 100%. Any scanner that works with Smart will work in any context with Smart. So assembly, detailing, whatever. Yep.
It's great.
And
Thank you.
potentially on the road, as long as you can pair it with Bluetooth. Alrighty.
Thank you. I'm good. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. I guess looks like Enrique is next, and I'll turn it over to Tyler.
Hi, everybody. To that point where you guys were talking about, I think you just confirmed it with your last sentence. So you guys are going to come out with that type of scanner that's kind of, you could kind of hold it in your hand compared to like the big one and carry it. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, yeah, to an extent. Like I said, we're testing it, and it's worked well with the delivery app and racking in that sense.
Got it. Got it. Got it. That was all. That was all. That's pretty cool.
Okay, awesome. Okay, River, just to confirm, there is no way to add a surcharge to a statement itself. That is correct. There is no way to add a surcharge to a statement itself. You would need to have an order. Some people choose to use an import order for things like that, because, for instance, whether it be they're servicing another business, and they're servicing their employees, they will put a minimum, as in $500 per month is their minimum. If they are below that, then they will manually put in an import order for the amount to reach $500. That is commonly used. Okay, Brandy asked, what is the reason you would have a printer in the van for delivery? So specifically, just like what Christy was mentioning, being able to print off bag tags so you know what customer to which bag, instead of just, for instance, if you just have, say your colors are blue and you have a bunch of blue bags, the only way that you're going to know who it is once you open up the bag, or whatever form of, or whatever method you use currently to track where those bags came from, who did it, who. Does that make sense?
Brandy, how do you track bags now when they come in? How do you know whose is whose? Are they heat sealed? And do you do hotel guest work? Which you probably don't heat seal. We can't.
Yeah, we just have a heat seal in each bag. There's just a little tag, you know what I mean, like a luggage tag that has the customer's name, and everything on it that go
Okay.
to that customer every time, and they use the same bag. Now when it comes to, because we do have little hubs in the local grocery store, so we use, I guess it's kind of an old school method. We just use paper tags there, or you know what I mean, and it gets put into the system by the CSRs, and then everything is printed that away and goes back to that specific store. So,
Yeah.
and it's
Gotcha.
kind of the same way if we do anything for a hotel, you know what I mean. So that was
Okay.
just kind of curious of like what was the purpose of it, and what was, you know what I mean, because it's like everybody, all our bags are linked to that customer every time. So
Yeah. So what you're doing, you have the you described them as sort of permanent luggage tags. So the bag tag is just, it's a different version of doing the same thing, except it's not permanent. You can, now I realize a lot of well, it depends on the type. Some of the, I guess the nicer garment bags have like the little insert slot where you could slide a piece of paper or even a plastic card or whatever in there, and it
yeah.
sort of holds it permanently. So a temporary bag tag can be used permanently in that way. But just having the printer lets you spontaneously print if the tag gets lost, or if you have new customers who you haven't onboarded yet, so they don't have a bag or they don't have a label yet, things like that. And some operators are really big on hotel work and stuff where they don't know the customer before they do the pickup, and so they rely on the mobile printers more for that kind of stuff as well. So it's not it's not necessarily a great value add for every operator, but there are definitely use cases where it makes a lot of sense and it helps.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it's just not necessary for you. If it's working the way you've got it, then yeah, stick with it.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. I mean, because I was
Yeah.
just thinking, I was like, that's extra work on the driver, and extra, you know, what I mean, ink for that printer, extra paper,
Yeah.
and extra all this.
Well, and usually the
So,
people who are using them, what they were doing before was even more work, right? So they
okay,
made that transition to improve their previous system, and it did, or else they wouldn't have stuck with it. Yeah.
I see now.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All righty. Do you have any other questions?
No,
All right. Who's next? Somebody's got something.
We got a message yesterday from one of our customers. Customer has a card on file, and it was the message about their building zip code not matching with like what was on their account. And the customer reacted pretty negatively to that because they weren't in the store. And I'm just considering, like, does that how often do customers like respond like to that? Do they actually like go in and update their stuff? And this is just early stages, but what if I wanted to like disable that message? Is that possible?
Yeah. So you can definitely disable that message. Trying to think, there's two different areas I'm thinking of in my head. It's the yep, the one in payment settings where it's ABS check or something like that. Yeah. Let me get the correct verbiage.
I can't think of any other customer responding negatively before to that, but I was just like, it was front of mind and it was a
Yes.
valid concern on her part. Just like, why are
Ye-
you asking about this? I'm not, not using this right now.
Yeah. So it's send notification to customer upon credit card ABS check failure. So it's whenever there's a disconnect between what information is saved. So what Stripe's, I'm pretty sure you guys use Stripe, um, but whatever Stripe has saved for their card information, and they are just double checking everything, making sure that all the information that they currently have saved is correct with the bank that the card holder is or that the card is attached to. And not necessarily running a payment or anything like that, but just double checking, making sure that everything is secure. And then they see that there's some type of difference in what they have. So that's what that is doing. It's really just a security measure for the client and for you.
Does it prevent them from running the card though in the future?
So it will not run, auto pay will not run, but you can manually charge the card up to, I want to say it's 90 days. And then after 90 days, it will not charge at all, and they will have to update the information.
Hmm, interesting.
Is it 90 or 60 days?
So
Hey, Zach.
I can tell the customer. Go ahead, Mike.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I can elaborate a little on how that plays out. So when the ABS check is first failed, the customer will be sent a notification if that's turned on, prompting them to update their card. If another month goes by, 30 days, and they haven't done so yet, then they'll be sent a second message. During this time, auto pay and payments will still work. Once they have received 3 notifications and they still have not updated the card, auto pay will stop working. You can still manually charge their card. They can still bring their card to the terminal at the counter and make payments. Auto pay will not work. That's what you lose.
Okay. So I guess I could tell the customer that in a couple months, eventually, like they would lose the ability for auto pay by not
Yeah.
updating it, and that's what we were trying to prevent by sending that message.
Right. Yeah. If you don't mind sharing, what was sort of the nature of their complaint or problem? Did they present being bothered about their card when they didn't have a payment, or?
I'll read it. It said, "I'm not in your store, so you shouldn't be touching my credit card. So yeah, you're not getting my
Mhm.
address."
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe she was just having a bad day. Like she's been a customer for like 20 years. I don't really
Sure.
understand the hostility, but
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah. Is it changing the message? No, I don't think it's not a visible template. Oh, you're right. You're right. It is. You can change that template. I'm sorry, we're having sort of a table discussion, which you may be interested to know that you can change the language in the ABS check communications template. However,
Mm,
we have a weird little bug where sometimes it doesn't show up in templates. So you have to go to payment settings, uncheck the box, and just check it again, and it'll show back up in your templates. And then you can edit it if you wanted to change the language. You know, if she's the only one who's really made us think about it, then I doubt the language is your problem. It's as she said, you know, maybe she was having a bad day or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do want to do a little side note here. So we've had a couple people calling in, whether they got new computers or what have you, and their station has been disconnected from Smart, and they had to go through the steps of getting an authentication code, and you know, but it can cause some agitation whenever, you know, first thing in the morning you're like, all I did was turn off the computer and turn it back on, and all of a sudden I don't have connection to Smart, and I have to call support to get an authentication code and do all this stuff. First thing I want to say is this generally happens whenever, if, for instance, if you're turning off the computer and you say update and close, Windows will actually remove temporary files, and it thinks that Smart is a temporary file, which then clears all the data, and then that's when you have to go back in and reset things up. We're looking at ways to avoid that in the future, but again, it's has to do with Windows specifically. And then also, you don't always have to contact us for an authentication code as long as you have another computer available, or another terminal that is available, or if you can call somebody who has the availability to see this right here. So under settings and then stations, they can click this button to get authentication code. As soon as they close this though, this code is no longer valid, whatever they gave you. So if they gave you that code and then close it, it doesn't work. Okay, Mike's telling me I'm wrong. Then that they're still. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, Mike is telling me that they time out and that he did it yesterday. So um, there might be a time frame that this is used for. So that is another way to get around having to contact support if you are one of those people that are very hesitant or avoidant of doing that, or just in a hurry. Yep. All right, looks like we've got Jessica.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, I have a question. When I set up customers with Route with Smart, I just joined Starbright Cleaners, and I'm not sure yet the right way to explain, but when I set them up, what's the first thing that I have to put them on when I go to delivery type? Which is, I see it says approval pending, will call, regular by appointment, delivery with master, route regular. What's the difference? Like, how do I, what's the first thing that I have to ask the customer?
So this is definitely one of those rabbit hole questions for sure. So obviously the first thing that you need is their address.
Okay.
And then you would want to figure out the days that they're going to be wanting service or needing service. And then that comes down to what your routes are set up to. And you said you're with Starbright?
Yeah, so Tuesday and Friday?
Yep. Okay. And I'm pulling up just so I
So
can.
I asked this question because I think I am sure, sorry, let me rephrase that. I am sure that I'm telling the customer correct, but because of all these changes that are going over the business, I just want to make sure that I have the accurate week by week, the right information that I'm providing for my own customers. So I am gonna sound on these meetings like I'm repeating myself and you guys are, but that's the whole point, right? Because sometimes there's something that we sweep under, and I don't want with the new changes here and there that I'm not catching on. So what I want to ask you is, am I doing the right way? So I did do the address. I asked the customer for the address. I go ahead and ask them what days work with them and what days we provide, right? And then as soon as I do that, I go ahead and ask them if they want to be a regular customer, a will call customer, or a regular by appointment. But then they ask me, what's the difference between regular by appointment, route regular, and deliver with master? So I know a few, but I want to know in your guys' words the best way to explain it to them so I can help other CSRs.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So I wouldn't necessarily use our terminology, what we see and what we know it as, right? So I
Okay.
wouldn't ask if you want to be a route regular. They're not really going to know what that is, and again, it's going to
Okay.
prompt the question of, can you explain it all? So what I would do is I would ask, hey, do you want us to notify you whenever we are coming by every
Okay.
time? Right now you are scheduled for either, Tuesday, Friday, Monday, Thursday, whichever route that you're placed on,
Okay.
and then just kind of explain to them, if you choose for us to contact you or the night before each stop or each time that we're going to come by, or if you don't want to have to deal with that and you want us to come by regardless, we can set that up for you, and just kind of just explain it that way rather than explaining using terms.
Okay. And then the three most common ones we use in this industry are will call, and that's the one that gets notified, right?
Correct.
And would that show up on my manifest the next day so my driver can call?
No, so that's not essentially what that means. Will
Okay.
call customer means that the system is automatically going to reach out to them the day before and say, hey, we're going to be in your area tomorrow. If you have anything for us to pick up, please say yes. And if they respond with yes to the text message, then they are going to automatically be put on your manifest. There's no reason that the driver or anybody from your company needs to, and I already checked your settings, so you're set up correctly,
Okay.
that they need
Okay.
to reach out to each individual customer. That would be a waste of your time and theirs.
Yes. So that means that if they say yes, they automatically be put on the manifest, right?
Correct. Yep.
Oh, okay. And then regular by appointment, it's only one day that we create a stop for them?
No, so it's the in-between stages of a will call and a route regular. So you're saying that you want this person to be regular, but you only want them to be regular on one day, meaning if it's a Monday, Thursday route, I only want them to be regular every single Monday. You get that option with that under each individual customer rather than the entire route.
Oh, okay. So they'll just pop up on a Tuesday, let's say, right?
Yeah, so if you were to select John Doe and you made them a route regular, or sorry, a regular by appointment, once you select that, underneath it's going to populate the days that the route runs. If you
Okay.
only select one of those days, and for this instance we're using Tuesday, Friday, I think you said. So you only wanted them to be on Tuesday, you would select Tuesday, and then they will only get a message if you are offering cancellation. So if you're saying, hey, we're coming by tomorrow, if you don't have anything, please say yes, or something like that.
Okay. So that one you receive a text message if they do want that Tuesday that they stated that they wanted to pick up, correct?
No.
Oh, okay.
So right now you guys offer cancellation. So yes,
Yeah.
they will be getting a message that asks them, if you don't have anything, please respond with no or yes, whichever
Oh,
way.
okay.
Some
Sorry, I
people
had
flip
this
flop.
wrong. Okay, I understand that. Okay. And then the route regular, that's for the Tuesday and Friday manifest, correct?
Yeah, so then every day that the route runs, just like Mike has displayed here, every day the route runs, they will be on the manifest.
Okay. I'm slowly learning and smart the manager or supervision way. So I want to be able to understand it well so I could be able to teach others.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's going to take some time, and many questions, that's for sure.
Yeah. But thank you. I really appreciate you answering my questions.
Yeah, and then always, if you do have questions or you need to, you know, find more information, the question mark in the bottom left on Smart is a very good place. You can go into the Learning Center and then you can probably type in the question that you have or the you know, area that you're looking at, like routes or something, and there's an article for it. You can read through and hopefully it'll answer your question.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, if anybody wants to get a screenshot of this little chart I made, I'm going to close it in just a minute. So go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
I'll give you 10, 20 seconds. Alrighty. Okay.
All right, and looks like we're going to go ahead and wrap it up from here. If you do have any other questions or anything that you didn't get to talk about today, you can go ahead and put in a ticket, send in an email, or give us a call, something like that, and we'll be happy to help. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a good one.